Hello everyone, I'm Razgriz and welcome back to Skycrag. In between episodes, I did decide to create a little house. I ended up using the Fantasies Furniture mod to create basically all the decorations in here. It was fun, and has quite a few. This is the Venthyr theme. I also set up a travel anchor between my main island and my house. And then, in today's episode, we're going to get started looking at the LVH. With the first thing we're going to be looking at is the steam turbine generator. Steam turbine generator consumes steam to produce EU, EU being the power system of GregTech. One of the things we can use the power for is in an LV converter, which can convert EU to FE and vice versa. We can use that to power a wireless charger, which will then charge our wireless terminal. So let's take a look at how the steam turbine works. First, you have to provide it steam, which I'm using an export bus with the GregTech steam. There are two steams, so make sure you select the one that's GregTech. It is hard to tell between the two. My tooltips are not showing me which fluids come from which mod for some reason. I also do have some acceleration cards to help make sure it keeps up with the amount of steam that this uses. So it does export on whatever side has this little red square. You can change it around. You can place a machine directly against it to pull power, and it'll start just like that. Or you can use wire. One thing to keep in mind with the wire is that it does lose power over distances. I believe the blocks say it is how much it is over a meter, aka a block. So these can be useful with machines that don't have a lot of power usage. For example, these steam furnaces. No one can ever accuse QuakeTech of not being weird. But you can see that each one of these is using 4 EU and this produces 32. Using a turbine, you can send power into an energy converter to convert the EU into FE, and using that FE, we could pass power into a wireless charger. The way we can do that is with the same basic steam turbine setup, the energy converter set to an export on the top, and the wireless charger. And using that, we will be able to send FE into our wireless terminal when we're within 5 blocks of the wireless charger. I have set up auto-crafting recipes for a lot of the basic machines. The basic bender, using a programming circuit, can make lots of different items, one of which is plates. This also only requires 1 ingot to make any of the tier 2 plates, which will definitely save on resources and make the crafting of these a bit faster. So let's look at how we can set up this up with auto crafting. As you can see, I already have quite a few of the machines set up, but we can look at the basic bender. I have a steam turbine generator dedicated for it, and underneath it I have a pattern provider, the extended version of it, and I just have a processing pattern with for each of the plates needed. You do take out the circuit, as I am just weaving the circuit in the machine. And whenever we need a plate, it will send the bronze plates in, or the bronze ingots in, and output the bronze plates. When you're setting it up, you do have to make sure to set click on the bottom and make sure that you allow output automatically, and that it is set to allow items to input from the output side. If you don't have both of these set up, the automation won't work. Let's take a look at one of the first ones I did set up, the basic mixer. The basic mixer will do what it says, take different ingredients and mix them into something different. In this case, I am using it to produce glowstone. The recipe for glowstone in the mixer is 50 ml buckets of water, Certus quartz dust, redstone dust, and gold dust. I am crafting gold dust with just gold ingots and a mortar. So, whenever I need more glowstone, I just send a request in, and this mixes it up. And I already have the Certus quartz dust automated in an inscriber for AE2 recipes. This is how I am now getting all the glowstone I need to make all the AE2 patterns that were needed to set a lot of this up. Another use of the mixer is to create glass dust. Glass dust can be also created by using quartzite dust and small piles of flint dust. The quartzite dust can be crafted in a macerator with quartzite. I also have a macerator set up with a pattern to grind up quartzite. I then also moved quartzite over here so that I could actually stockpile it. Once the glass dust being crafted, I can then request, say, some glass. The glass then goes into the glass dust goes into a forming press with a casting mold, which creates the glass blocks. I also have one forming press set up, the balls for making the tubes needed for some of the circuits. I have a forge hammer set up, turning cobblestone into gravel, as we need gravel to make flint. I also have the basic chemical reactor set up with a pattern to make liquid rubber from 9 raw rubber pulp and 1 sulfur dust. That liquid rubber is then used in the fluid solidifier with a casting mold plate to make rubber plates. Let's look at what we need to leverage the battery buffer. The battery buffer is pretty simple to make, but does require some batteries to function. The 4X battery buffer can provide up to 4 amps out, and it can store up to 4 batteries. To make a battery, you need a battery hull. The battery hull is made with a tin cable and some battery alloy plates. The battery alloy is made using lead and antimony ingot. This ingot is obtained by smelting stibnite. Yes, no idea what any of these ores actually are. So using the battery alloy, you can make the battery hull, and using the battery hull in the canner, you can create small lithium batteries. And you can see that the basic canner uses the battery hulls with some lithium dust to create the batteries. You can craft different items, like the water source, the stone lava furnace, or the personal shrinking device, among many other things. Because all three of these use a liquid, I do recommend setting up a pattern for them. That way you can just request the item you want, and it'll put in the exact amount of rubber, or the fluid, in this case rubber, needed. Takes it, and it pops out an item. As you can see, it can make quite a large number of items. And the water source does exactly what it says. It just generates water. Now that we have some things automated, let's take a look at the electric blast furnace. But first look, the blast furnace itself isn't too difficult to create. I do recommend setting up auto crafting recipes for the furnace and all of the components, as there's quite a few different items or input and outputs that you need for the furnace itself, and the copper nickel blocks do require an assembler to create. Looking at the multi-block, it has an inside, or in the middle two rows, is a hollow section of copper nickel coils. The top has a muffler hatch, and in this layout also has the maintenance hatch at the top. And then the inputs and outputs can go along any of the sides, with the furnace itself being in the center bottom of the front. So to power it, we do need 2 sets of energy hatches. These energy hatches I am going to power using 2 battery buffers. And use some of the batteries I crafted earlier to create that buffer. And then we need 4 turbines. And I'm using a 4x tin cable to move the power, just to make sure it has enough. I could stick the output hatch there. And then the item input. Forward input. Output hatch. And then to make steel, which will be one of the first things we need, we craft, we need iron, or wrought iron, and oxygen gas. The oxygen gas can be crafted from an electrolyzer, with just electrolyzing just regular water. And that's how you create your first electric blast furnace. One thing to keep in mind is before you can actually use it, you will have to perform maintenance on it. And then once that is done, you now have a working furnace. Next time, I'm going to work on sorting out aluminum, the manganese phosphide, and what I need to do to make the diodes for the next circuit. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and leave any likes, comments, suggestions below.